Good morning. Naimbag nga bigat kada tayo amin. Thank you, ma'am, for your kind introduction. I hope I'll be able to give justice to my presentation. I am Bert Kian Pugrad, instructor of the Health Science Department and the Extension Coordinator of our institution. Today, I am invited by our research coordinator to introduce the APA Format 7 edition, a step-by-step guide for student paper. I know that writing a thesis or research is challenging and tiresome, and we have already the idea in mind. However, we are hindered by some of the technical aspects of writing a research paper, one of which is the application of this APA format or the APA 7th edition. For today's presentation, I'll be focusing on the following. First, the APA or the American Psychological Association 7th edition. Second, the basic setup or the basic elements of an APA 7 student paper. We'll be tackling about plagiarism and of course, the in-text citation and creating your reference list. To have an idea in mind, let's understand first what is APA or what is APA. Okay, is it the APA that we use when eating our favorite ice cream? Or is it the APA that refers to the organization as well as to the writing format published by that organization? APA stands for American Psychological Association. It is the leading scientific and professional organization representing psychology in the United States with more than 100,000 researchers as members, educators, clinicians, consultants, and students. And they were the one who published the APA manual, and from time to time they keep on updating this manual. So dati ay meron tayong APA 6, ngayon ay meron na po tayong APA 7. Okay, the question is, accepted nga ba ang way of writing na to? Yes, okay, this manual or this writing style is accepted within the academic community, most especially in the field of social sciences, and has been adapted in most of the publications, no, and in any form of your scholarly writing. The APA style is a set of guidelines for clear and concise scholarly communication that helps authors, both new and experienced authors, achieve excellence way in writing. So this edition or this format is used by millions of people in the entire world. To be more particular, on the field or the discipline of psychology. However, it has been adopted from various fields already, such as in the nursing, the midwifery, social work, communications, field of education, businesses, and even engineering, as well as the other disciplines, in preparation for their manuscripts for publication, as well as in writing student papers, which includes thesis or your dissertation. Let us now move to the basic setup or elements of an APA 7 student paper. Take note that the consistency in the order, structure, and format of your paper will allow your reader to focus on the content rather than its presentation. So these are the basic setup of an APA format paper. So before po tayo magsulat and to make our effort as well as to make our time more efficient, dapat ay set na po natin ang ating Word document. Okay? So first is your margin. No? Yung margin po natin dapat ay 1 inch in all sides siya. In terms of our font style and font size, ito po yung mga pwede natin gamitin. Okay? So we have the 11-point Calibri, the 11-point Arial, 12-point Times New Roman, which is the very common, and the 11-point Georgia. In terms of our line spacing, we should use a double space for our entire paper. No? So, i-set up na po natin na dapat ay double space rather, yung ating entire paper. Okay? Sa paragraph naman natin or indentation, we follow a left align. Okay? Left aligned po siya. And always leave the right ragged. Okay, so later on I will show some examples of that left align and a right right ragged margin. Okay, so do not use full justification. No? Unlike dati, we are using a full justification. But in APA, hindi ginagamit ang full justification. So we indent also the first line of every paragraph of the text with a size of around 0.5 inches. Okay, so instead of hitting your keyboard instead of hitting your enter keyboard, ang gagamitin po natin dito is the tab key. Okay? So, because if you're going to use the enter keyboard, ma-alter po lahat, no? Yung mga magkakasunod-sunod na line or text lines. Pero kapag tab key po yung gagamitin natin, mas madali po natin siyang maayos. Okay. So in terms of our page number, we should place our page number on the top right corner of your paper, including the cover page or the title page. No? Unlike before the APA 6, hindi tayo naglalagay ng page number sa first page or sa cover page. But on the APA 7, we will be putting now our page number. Okay, so take note on the top right corner or on the upper right hand corner of our paper. Sa running head naman, for student paper, we will not be using anymore running head. Unlike before, in the APA 6 na merong running head. Okay, so take note, in the student paper, hindi po tayo gagamit ng running head. Okay, but for professional papers, gumagamit po sila ng running head. So this is a sample title page. Okay, so for those students who will be preparing their thesis for this semester, be sure to familiarize the elements of our title page. Okay, so ano nga ba yung contents ng ating title page? Okay, so we have here, no, yung ating page number written on the upper right hand corner of our paper. Okay, so we also have here yung title ng ating paper, ng ating study at naka-center po siya at bold. Okay, so lahat po ng mga contents dito, ang naka-bold lamang is the title of our paper. Okay, followed by our author's name, followed by the affiliation. In the affiliation, we should write down the name of the department, okay, the college or the university. Okay, followed by our course code and the course name or this name of the subject. Okay, after ng course code or the name of the subject, we should write down also the name of the faculty or the name of our instructor, and of course, yung due date. Okay, so be sure na yung spaces po natin, okay, between line ay at least naka-double space po siya. However, meron lamang pong konting difference po between this in the space between the title and your name as the student author. Okay, and of course, dito sa ating topmost part ng ating title page. Okay, on the topmost part of our title page, there should be at least 3 to 4 lines or 3 to 4 spaces. Okay, of on the topmost margin, below the topmost margin, and below our paper title. Okay, dapat ay merong at least extra line, okay, or at least one line, no, na space bago natin i-encode or sulat yung ating mga pangalan. We are now done with the title page. We now proceed to the text elements. On the text elements, we place again on the topmost part of our paper yung ating paper title, to be followed by the introduction, that is to provide the background and of course the context of our study. Okay, we should also use descriptive headings to identify other sections or other parts of our paper. Like for example, for the results, for the methods, for the discussions, as well as sa ating mga references. Okay, and take note that sections and headings may vary depending on paper type as well as the complexity of our paper. Here are the rules for our text spacing and alignment. First, lahat dapat ay naka-double space, which includes the headings, the sections, the paragraph, and even the block quotes. Aside from double space, we should always indent yung ating mga paragraph. We should align the text left or left align po siya, and we keep the right margin ragged. Okay, so as we can see, dito po sa ating title, naka-double space po yan. Naka-double space din ang mga headings. No? The whole text or the whole paragraph is naka-double space po sila. And we indent, no, yung ating mga paragraph. And on the right side of our margin, we keep it ragged. For block quotation alignment, we should indent the whole quote from left margin at dapat lahat ay naka-double space. When you say quotation or quote, if we're going to present in our results or in our discussion or any section of our paper, the entire phrase or the exact phrase and we enclose it with quotation mark, ang tawag po natin doon ay yung quote or yung quotation. So we should indent that, no? We should indent that exact phrase or the exact um, statement, okay, written in our paper. Here's the basic rules for the text font and headings format. We use the same font throughout the entire paper. We write the body in the standard or the body text in standard or non-bold or non-italic font. We use italics sparingly, like for instance, to highlight a key term on the first use. So we also have the different levels of headings. So we have level 1 heading, and the format we follow the following rules. First is the title case heading is centered and bold, and the text begins as a new paragraph. For level 2 heading, we flash the title or the label left, bold title and case heading, and the text begins as a new paragraph. For the third level subheading, we flash left, bold, italics, title case heading, and the text begins as a new paragraph. For the level 4 subheading, we indent the heading or it is indented, bold, title case heading, and ending with a period. And the usual or the text begins on the same line and continues as a regular paragraph, no? So sa ating level 4 subheading, diretso na yan, no? Yung ating naka-indent, naka-bold, title case, as well as naka-italics na subheading sa ating level 4, diretso na yon yung kanyang text. Okay? So we do not need to enter a new paragraph. For your level 5, it is indented, bold, italics, title case, heading, ending with a period, and text begins on the same line and continues as a regular paragraph. Here are some examples or applications of a headings format. So for the level 1 heading, as you can see on the image presented, the level 1 heading, the title case heading is centered, tapos ay naka-bold siya, and of course, the text begins as a new paragraph. For our level 2 heading, flash left bold title case heading. So ito po, and of course, the text begins as a new paragraph. We're done now with the basic text setup of an APA paper. We now move with the basic setup of figures and tables, still following the APA basic rules. Okay, so I hope you still have the energy and of course enthusiasm to participate in my discussion. For table and figure elements, in general, the gross presentation of tables, figures, or graph are almost the same. So they both have table number or figure number. They both have the title. They both have the body, which includes the rows and columns for table, and of course, the image or the graph for a figure. And the last, they both have note. We have here example of table. Sa ating table number, dapat ay naka-bold. The title should be in italics. Followed, we also have here the body, which includes the rows and the columns, and the note. Okay, so I would like to emphasize that placing note is optional. For figures, first, we have the figure number in bold. The title, of course, in italics. We have the image. Okay, ito po yung image niya, or the body. And the last is the note, which is always optional. For table line spacing, we should observe the following. Okay? So, ano yung mga basic rules natin? Again, double space the number and the title. Okay, double space po yan. Aside from the number in the title, the body of the table, yung spacing po natin should be at least 1.5 or double space. Okay? Or we could also adjust, no, yung ating spacing depending on the readability of the text present in our table. For the note, no, yung note din po natin ay dapat ay naka-double space din po sila. For figure line spacing, double space the number and the title, double space the note, and default settings for the spacing in image, or we could also adjust as needed depending on its readability. For table alignment, here are the basic rules. Okay, first, the table should be left aligned along with the table title, as well as the items inside the body of the table. Okay? Or to be more particular, yung ating leftmost column should be always aligned to the left. Okay? And of course, yung ating note din ay naka-align din sa left portion ng ating table. So for the center table headings such as the items or the description, descriptor, such as the data with regards to the percentage or the data with regards to the sample or the frequency, sila po ay naka-center. Take note, naka-center po sila if the data is short. No? Like for example, mga 5 items, 7 or 9. Okay? However, if the data is long, like for example, yung buong papel ay merong data, merong frequency, merong percentage, no? Merong mean, okay? Merong descriptive equivalent rating or your DER, those data should be left aligned. Okay, so those data should be left aligned if the data is long. Take note, if the data is long. So when say data is long, yung buong papel, yung buong page ay merong nakalagay na isang column or isang table. For our table font, here are the basic rules. Our table number should be in bold. The title should be in italics. Yung ang note na nakalagay dyan should be in italics, but the content of the note ay dapat same yung kanyang font style with the other parts or the other major parts of the paper. On the body of the table, the font should be the same. Okay, the font should be the same in the entire body of the paper. For the figure font, they almost share with the table font. Okay, the difference, of course, is the major part, which is the figure. Okay, so for the figure, we could use sans serif font or Calibri, Arial in the image. In terms of its size, we should use 8 hanggang 4 point. And kung default settings naman ang gagamitin natin with regards to the presentation of the figures or the graph or the images, that would just be fine.
A very short tutorial on making APA tables. Okay, I'm just going to quickly show you how to make APA tables in Microsoft Word. So the issue right now is that you can get them in SPSS, but they're usually pretty buggy and you have to adjust them anyway. So it's actually just a lot faster to make it directly in Microsoft Word. So first thing you want to do is make sure you're in Times New Roman. And then you can either make the table kind of through the shortcut here, or you can do table insert and then select the table option. So we'll just go through a practice here. I'll make it 7 by 4. And then we get something like this. So the first column is going to be where we put our variable names, and then we have our mean, standard deviation, min, max, skew, and kurtosis, let's say. So first thing we want to do is kind of give ourselves enough space to write the variables out, and then just kind of equally space the other things as much as possible. So once that's here, and then we want to center these ones. And then we want to make the heading one just a little bit bigger than the other ones. And then we also want to bold the labels. So what we would do here is we want to just make sure the alignment is centered. And I'll actually fix this one so it still lines up to the left. And now we are ready to enter values. So I can put like fake variable 1, And then, oh, sorry, we also want to make sure this is all centered. And again, it's a good habit just to, if we go back to layout, to make sure that everything is kind of centered within its variable. And these ones will center but still keep left justified. So I'm just putting fake numbers in here. As you recall, keep 2 decimal points. Okay. I don't know, fake numbers, okay? And I will just copy and paste those same fake numbers here, and same with our fake variable name. But I will change the numbers so they look like that. Okay, so generally speaking, you can do double spaced through here, or you can just make it a little bit bigger. I usually kind of do that, and then once you equally space these under table layout, it'll just make it look a little bit nicer. And then you need to get rid of all of the inside. Sorry, I lost my, there we are. Oops, what did I just do? Sorry, ignore that. So we want to get rid of all the borders. I find that's the easiest. Then I find selecting, and if you just add the bottom to that row, add the top, and then add the bottom to the whole thing, you have your APA table. And what you would also want to add to this on the top is a title. So usually like table 1, descriptive statistics, something like that. And again, make sure that is Times New Roman, font size 12. And if you have any notes or anything, you would put them under here. So that is an APA table for continuous data. Now to show you how to make the categorical one. So this one, you only need 2. You need a variable row, and then you need the mean and standard, or sorry, not the mean, standard deviation. You need the frequencies and the percentages. So this time, if we're making a table, we will do insert table. So this time we only need 3, and again, it doesn't matter how many rows. So this one doesn't need to be as wide, so we can just do a bit of this, and then we can add, so here we'll have the number, and this will be the percentage, and we'll put here that, or like frequency, and I'll just put that it represents number, and then percentage. I can put it like this if I want. And then here I want to merge these ones. So this is if you just want it to look like this. So you merge it, and then you could put variables here. And then we start putting all our variables. So if we were to use sex as an example here, we'd have female, male, and then we would put, these are fake numbers, but like maybe there was 45, and this corresponded to 25%. And then I know these, oh sorry, that's not where we want to put that. We want to put it on this row. And then same thing, I don't know, 25, and this is equal to 10%. I know those numbers don't make sense. And then you can put the total if you want, but if all the totals are the same, you can just put it at the bottom as a note and say that the totals apply to everyone. So what you want to do is your header variables look like this, bold all that, and then you want to make sure these are justified over to the right side. And so keep in mind, we want to keep everything centered. So actually, first what I'll do is center everything. Then we're going to move this guy over to the left, this one to the left, keep these ones to the right. And then if you want, you can put a bit more space in here, and then same thing here. And then do that same thing where you equally space them. We'll delete the last row, and now we need to get rid of kind of all the unnecessary lines. So what we'll do is take it all away. I'm going to add the top here, and then I'm going to add the bottom just for these ones, and then I'm going to add the bottom for this whole row, and then the bottom for the entire set. So again, you can call this one table 2, descriptive statistics. So obviously if you had more categories, you could add them all, but this is essentially what it would look like. So there you have it, APA tables.
Now that we are familiar on how to make our tables, on how to make figures or graph, our next challenge now is the placement. No? So here are the rules in placing tables and figures. First, we should embed the table and figures in the text. We call out or we mention the table or figure in the text before embedding it or before placing in the text. We place the table or figures after calling out. Like for example, at the bottom of the page, at the top of the next page, by itself on the next page. Okay, so pwede tayong gumamit ng mga um, signal phrases, okay, na as presented. And avoid placing the tables and figures in the middle part of the page. Okay, so which means we should avoid table sandwiching. And the last, embed long tables or large figures on own page if needed, and the text continues on the next page. Okay, so basic rule po natin on the placement of tables and figures, we embed the tables and figures in the text. We call out or we mention yung mga name ng mga table. Like for example, at the bottom of the page is table 1, table 2, etc. On the top of the next page, okay, or please see table blank. Okay? And of course, we should avoid table sandwiching. Huwag po natin i-sandwich ang table, which ang ibig sabihin nun, hindi po natin pwedeng ilagay ang table, figure, or graph between paragraph. Okay? And of course, do not cut tables, do not cut figures or graph. Okay, so ilagay po natin kapag malaki or it's a large table or large figure, we should place it in a single page only. So this is an example of embedding at the bottom of the page. Okay, so as you can see here, we present the figure by calling out the figure number. So like for example, nakalagay po dito, no? Please see or see figure 1. So you are calling out now the figure number, okay, or the name of the table. Okay. Aside from calling out their name, we should also ensure that at least we have a blank line between text and between the table. Okay, so dapat meron po tayong space dito. Okay, and then after ensuring that we have a space between the text and the placement of the table, pwede na natin ilagay or replace yung ating mga tables or even yung mga figures po natin. We have here another example of embedding a table at the top of the next page. Okay, so like for example, etong text na to is nasa last part na siya ng page natin or the document. Okay, so again, we should call out in the text before the table or figure. Okay, if we place signal phrases or signal statement, the table 1 presents the following, etc., etc. So after calling out the title or the figure number or the table title, okay, or the table number, we can now place the table or the figure on the next page. Okay, so the previous slide kanina, I just imagine that those are the text at the bottom part of the paper at wala na tayo and we need to place already the table or the figure on the next page. Okay, so we should call out first, no, yung ating table or figure number, and then we place the image or the figure or the table on the succeeding page. Okay, again, the table or figure is at the top of the page. Okay, so we following the prescribed format. So the table numbers in bold, naka-italics po yung title, followed by the body of the table. Okay, of course, the note is always optional. After placing the table, we should always observe that there should be at least space, no? Space between the table or between the figure to the next line or to the next paragraph. For figure alignment, same din siya, no, ng ating table alignment. Okay, so for the figure number as well as the title, sila dapat ay naka-left align. Left align also the whole image, the chart or the graph. And of course, the note is also left align. Okay, so the default settings of the figure or the image would just be fine. Okay, so we're done now with the presentation of an APA table, APA figure or graph, okay, as well as the other parts no ng ating paper. So I hope you still have the energy no and enthusiasm to listen and to continue listening with my presentation no. So if you are still with me, okay, please maski nasa virtual tayo and of course pre-recorded ang aking presentation today. Please shout out no in your own chat box sa inyong respective Google Meet or any virtual application that you are using. Okay, please shout out, and of course, your advisors or your instructors will be monitoring you. Okay, so let's move now with your reference list. Okay, so your reference list or references is one of the last part of your paper, your thesis. Okay, so we need to write down our references. Okay, lahat ng mga resources natin, we need to acknowledge them properly in our reference list. Okay, so in our reference list, again, just like the other parts, meron din tayong mga basic rules no, using the APA format. So in terms of line spacing, we should start reference list at the top of the new page after the text. Okay, so again, hindi po natin pwedeng isingit ang ating reference list sa mga previous pages, maski medyo malaki pa yung space, sayang space siguro, no? Pero we should place our reference list on a separate page. Okay, and aside from starting the reference list on a new page, in terms of spacing, the space should be double space. So all entries in our reference list should be double space. Sa ating alignment naman, of course, the title, okay, or the heading, which is the reference, should be in title, and of course, naka-bold po siya. And the rest of our reference list, okay, are hanging indent of at least 0.5 inch on all reference entries. So, ito po tinatawag natin na hanging indent. Okay, so which means diretso lang po yan, tapos yung second line and from the second line up to the last line of each reference entries, dapat po sila ay what? Naka-hanging. Okay, so you could set this hanging indent no, using your MS Word. So I will be showing a short demonstration video on how to um, set okay, your references in a hanging indent form. Okay, in our reference list, we follow also a prescribed format based from the APA 7 rule. Okay, so napapansin po natin, no, yung mga naka-highlight dito ng yellow or naka-highlight dito ng blue-green. Okay, so we have here the title of a web page, the title of the book or title of a report, okay, as well as the title of the journal articles. Okay, so yung mga title po ng mga journal articles natin, like for example, Handbook of Enhancing Undergraduate Education in Psychology, Teaching Psychology, these are the title of the journal articles and they should be in italics. Okay, the title of the books, like for example, Qualitative Education and Research, or this one, APA Guidelines for Undergraduate Psychology Major. These are the title of the books and they should also be in italics. Okay, so yun po yung naka-italics sa ating mga reference list. Aside from the technical concern of an APA 7 for student paper, one of the major concerns also is all about plagiarism. According to Hope and Spiel, plagiarism endangers the veracity or truthfulness of any discipline in the academia, and they estimated that the actual prevalence of plagiarism is very difficult due to the sensitivity of the issue as well as the nature of freely admitting the actual offenses. I could relate this when we conducted a webinar in our department, and most of the participants, or almost half of the participants, answered no, in a short survey that they have at least engaged themselves once no, with regards to plagiarism. No, same with the other studies conducted from other countries. Okay, so still in this study, they found out that there are around 428 students, okay, from their university that have engaged in plagiarism, which accounts to around 22 percentage points, no? 22 percentage points of plagiarism. Okay, so this is a high number. This is a alarming number. So take note that plagiarism is a big no-no. No, it's a considered as a mortal sin or a grave sin in the academic community. So why do we plagiarize? Basically, it's because of our lack of understanding on the principles of plagiarism. Despite of the knowledge or despite of the perception that we have with regards to the severity or the ethical issues and concerns with regards to plagiarism. Another is the contextual and the cultural factors. However, the contextual and cultural factors is not considered as the main cause why do students or why do we engage to plagiarism. Okay, it's all about our lack of understanding with regards to the basic principles of this grave mortal sin in the academic community. So what is plagiarism or plagiarize? So plagiarize means to steal and pass off the ideas or words of another as our own, or it is the use of another idea without crediting the source. There are actually two types of plagiarism according to the APA manual, APA 7th manual. However, other resources would say there are various forms of plagiarism. So the first one, we have your word plagiarism. Your word plagiarism is using of someone else's word or the improper use of someone else's word. The idea of plagiarism is the improper use of someone else's idea. And of course, the self-plagiarism is your plagiarizing rather your own output. No, so this means that you have a previously published articles or previously submitted papers, then you make it appear that that's again an original work on your second activity, third activity, or so on and so forth. But take note, incorporating previous academic work may be allowed or may be permissible. But of course, no, if you present it as an original output, so that's a self plagiarism. Let's further understand what is word plagiarism. So word plagiarism occurs when you use author's exact words or phrases without quotation mark. Okay, so to avoid word plagiarism, we should paraphrase the source in our own words rather than directly quoting them. Okay, so although quotation would just be fine, no, but if you want to paraphrase it, okay, so I think paraphrasing would be better. We say paraphrase, you read the entire text, you read the quote that you want to write in your paper, and you interpret it or analyze it, contextualize it, and write it in your own word. So paraphrase helps you synthesize the ideas into the context of your paper. In using a quotation mark, no, or using a direct quotes, it is allowed, no, it is allowed to use direct quote. Kaya nga kanina meron tayong tinatawag na block quotation. Okay, so the use of quotations is sparingly only when it is important. That is to reproduce both what is said. Okay, so we could use quotation mark. Hindi naman lahat ay quotation mark, no? We just only quote one of the most important idea or statement or description that your author have written in their paper. Okay. Another is we should also avoid patch writing. You see, patch writing, that's a filling, removing, and replacing some words, no? But the entire content or the thought would still be the same. No? Usually, ito yung pinaka-usual form na ginagawa natin na plagiarize. We copy the statement from a book or from an article, and then pinalitan lang natin yung mga 1 to 3 to 5 words, and we make it appear already as a non-plagiarized statement, but that is still considered as plagiarism. Okay, so ang tawag po natin doon is a patch writing. Patch writing kasi you just remove a few words or statement and you look into the dictionary, kung ano bang definition, ano ang synonym niya, other terms related to that word, and then you write it, but the exact quote or exact statement would still be the same. So that would still a form of plagiarism. Another form of plagiarism is your idea plagiarism. Idea plagiarism occurs when you present an idea from another source without citing the author and the year, or without citing your sources. So a more common form of idea plagiarism is when students cite a source incorrectly because they do not know the proper in-text citations. Okay, so later on we will discuss what is in-text citation. Okay, so your idea plagiarism is also common where the students remember a fact that have been discussed or learned in their class or from their class and put it in their own paper without citing the sources because they would assume that it is a common knowledge where in fact ay galing naman talaga yon sa mga relevant and of course valid sources po natin. Okay, so to avoid idea plagiarism, we could use signal phrases to designate our own idea. Okay, or in our in-text citation, or use rather an in-text citation to source a signal from another idea or from our source's idea. Okay, and take note, always search the literature to find a source or any facts or ideas or findings so as to avoid idea plagiarism. Lalong-lalo na no, sa mga common knowledge that we have. Okay, like for example, yung definition ng health, okay, almost familiar na po yan sa lahat ng mga health workers. So they might use that term already as their own definition where in fact it has been defined decades ago by the World Health Organization. Okay, so we should again find the source of any facts or ideas, and of course, or findings to avoid idea plagiarism. In the study of Curtis and Tremaine in 2019, these are the other types of plagiarism. So we have sham paraphrasing. Your sham paraphrasing is when a material is or material copied verbatim from a text and source acknowledged in line but represented as paraphrase. No, you copied the verbatim or the exact statement or phrase rather or sentence from a source, then you acknowledge it, okay, merong in-text citation, and you presented it as a paraphrase statement, where in fact ay copy-paste pala yun, no? Nilagay mo lang ang in-text citation. That is our sham paraphrasing. Another is your illicit paraphrasing. Your illicit paraphrasing is the material is paraphrased from text without inline or without in-text citation or in-text acknowledgement from the source. Okay, that's an illicit paraphrasing. Other forms of paraphrasing is material copied from students' assignment without the knowledge of other student, no? Yung mga magkaka-classmate dyan, they shared their output, tapos or unknowingly, mayroong kumukopya ng kanyang output. Okay, so it's a form of plagiarism, no? Another is your verbatim copying, wherein the material copied verbatim from text without inline acknowledgement of the source. Okay, so you copied what another author say, and then of course wala pa rin isang in-text citation. Another is your recycling, just like in self-plagiarism when you recycle your previous assignments from other courses or other subjects and you make it appear as your own. We also have your ghostwriting, no? Sa Facebook, madami ako nakikita mga ganyan. Okay, so assignment written by a third party and then presented or represented as the student's own work or our own work. Another is your purloining. Okay, so purloining is the assignment copied from other student or other source's paper without that person's knowledge. Okay, so which means you just copied the assignment tapos hindi niya alam na nakopya din pala ang kanyang assignment ng ibang tao. Okay, so those are unethical, no? Those are unethical. And we should avoid those unethical practices. That's why we are conducting this seminar for us to be familiar, no, with the basic concepts of plagiarism. So to avoid plagiarism, we should paraphrase. And in paraphrasing, and of course to avoid plagiarism as well, first, we should read the work that we want to cite or read our retrieve articles or retrieve books. Identify the idea that you want to put in your paper so that you will not be copying the entire contents or the exact phrase or statement of that paper. Another is we write a sentence about that idea. So we put our own idea based from readings in our own words. We make a reference list entry, okay, and add corresponding in-text citation to the sentence that you have written. And of course, repeat as needed for more works and ideas. To avoid plagiarism, no, and of course to make a good way of a good practice paraphrasing, we should do the following. First, we read the work that you want to cite. After reading the work that you want to cite, you identify the idea or identify the theme based from your readings. After identifying the theme or the idea based from your readings, you write a sentence about that idea. You write it, you put it in your own words, you contextualize it based from your study or based from your objective. You write a reference list for the work, you add corresponding in-text citation, and of course, repeat as needed to have more works and of course, to gain more ideas from various sources. Okay, so this is now my last topic for today's presentation. I know you are now already exhausted. Okay, so again, may I request to please shout out, no? Shout out naman kayo sa inyong mga respective virtual spaces. Okay, so your respective your advisors. Okay, the moderator will be facilitating, will be observing, no, your responses. Mag-shout out naman kayo dyan or mag-oo naman kayo dyan kapag kayo ay buhay pa and still have the energy and of course full of enthusiasm. Okay? So our last discussion is all about in-text citation or in-text citation and making our reference list. There are actually two types of scientific sources. We have primary and secondary. Your primary are the original reports of an author or the original work of an author, whereas your secondary were the reports that were made by an author, by the original author, and was reported, okay, or was used by the another author or from another source. As discussed a while ago, to avoid a plagiarized output, we should learn how to cite our resources. Okay, so ang tawag natin sa pag-cite ng ating resources in our writings or in our thesis or research is your in-text citation. Your in-text citation appears within the body of your paper or even in a table, within a figure, a footnote, or an appendix that briefly identifies the cited work by the author, and of course the date or the year of the publication to be more particular. Okay, so like for example, in this image presented, merong mga naka-mention dito na in the study of Agha et al. 2015, no? Omer 2016, and Tosterud rather 2015, okay? Omer 2016. Ang tawag po natin dito, these are your in-text citations. Okay, these are your in-text citations because the author or the writer are placing the cited works, no, are citing rather, are citing his or her references in his writing or in his paper. In-text citation enables readers to locate the corresponding entry in the alphabetical reference list at the end of the paper. So which means that all cited references in any major part or major section of your paper should be written in your reference list in an alphabetical order. We have actually two formats of in-text citation. The first one is parenthetical citation, and the second is the narrative citation. In parenthetical citation, both the author and the date, particularly the year published, and they are separated by a comma, appears inside the parenthesis for a parenthetical citation. Okay, so like for example, ito po yung example natin, no? Yung ating parenthetical citation. Okay, so we could see here the last name of the author and of course the year published, and they are separated by a comma. And both the last name and the year published were enclosed inside a parenthesis. Okay, so lahat ng mga nakikita natin sa mga articles or books na naka-enclose sila sa parenthesis, ang tawag doon is your parenthetical citation. How about your narrative citation? The narrative citation, the author appears in the running text. Since yung running text, kasama siya na naisusulat. Okay? And of course, the date appears inside the parentheses. So the difference between your parenthetical and narrative, in your narrative, the author's name, no, the author's name appear in the running text and it's not enclosed inside the parentheses. Ano ang naka-enclose sa loob ng parentheses? It is only the year published. Okay, so like for example, Kohler, open close parenthesis, 2016, noted the dangers of falsely balanced news coverage. Okay? So, ang tawag po natin dito is your narrative citation. No? As you can see, they almost share the same thought, okay, with regards to having a balanced news coverage. Okay? So, yan po yung difference natin ng parenthetical and narrative citation. However, in some cases, the author and the date might both appear in the narrative, and in this case, they do not use parenthesis. Okay? So, like for example, another sample din ng ating narrative wherein they are not using parentheses. In 2016, Kohler noted the dangers of falsely balanced news coverage. Again, no, hindi po naka-enclose, okay? Hindi po naka-enclose sa loob ng parenthesis, no? Yung year, okay? However, they appear both within. Okay, they appear both in the running text. So, okay lang ba ito? Yes, these were just good. No, these practices rather are accepted sa ating APA 7 format edition. Okay, so please do not forget that your two forms of your citations, syntax citation, we have your parenthetical citation and your narrative citation. In our parenthetical citation, the author and the date, particularly the year, are separated by a comma and they appear inside the parentheses. So this is our parenthetical citation. Whereas your narrative citation, the author's name is narrated, no? In or placed in the running text. Okay, and the date or the year is enclosed inside the parentheses. However, there are some instances wherein the year as well as the name of the author uh, appears in the running text. Okay, so these are your narrative citation. How about for citing multiple sources? When citing multiple works or multiple sources, parenthetically, we should place the citations in an alphabetical order. Take note, alphabetical order po yung pag-present natin ng citation regardless of the way you present their idea. Okay? Okay, but take note that we also need to separate them, no? We separate them using a semicolon. So example, Adams et al. 2019, Shamway and Scholman 2015, and Westinghouse 2017. Okay, so they are arranged based on the alphabetical order. Okay, at hindi po siya based on the year published. Nakuha? So take note, should base on the alphabetical order. How about for two or more works by the same authors by year of publication? So we place citations with no date first, followed by the works with dates in chronological order. So no dates, yung mga end dito po na yan, these are your no dates. So like for example, kapag merong article or merong readings or merong book na pinublish ang Department of Veterans Affairs, like for example, and the first edition ay walang year published, so we place it as no date. However, if there are subsequent publications, subsequent books or readings ay meron ng year published, we place them on chronological order. Okay, so same with true with this example. How about for citing unknown or your anonymous authors? So ano po yung gagawin natin? Okay, for works with unknown author, okay, take note, unknown author, you include the title and of course the year of publication. And say title is the title of the article or the title of the book and of course the year of publication in the in-text citation. And note that the title moves to the author's position in the reference, okay, list entry as well. Okay, so ang ibig po sabihin natin dito, in your in-text citation, ang format po niya is the title or the shortened title and then the year published. However, if you're going to place now, no, yung sa ating reference list, okay, the title moves to the author's position. Okay, so it is the title, since walang anonymous naman ng author, yung ilalagay na po natin sa author's position is the title of the book or the title of the article. So if the title of the work is italicized in the reference, also italicize the title in the in-text citation. Okay, so if the title of the work is not italicized in the reference, use a double quotation mark, okay, around the title of the in-text citation. Okay, so take note that we capitalize thesis titles in the text using title case, even though sentence case is used in the reference list entry. And if the title is too long, no, sobrang haba ang title ng book or an article, we just shorten it in the in-text citation. Okay, so here's an example of a book with no author. So anong nakalagay yung napansin natin dito? It's the title, no? Title and then the year. How about a magazine? Okay, with no author. Again, we have here the title. Naka-enclose po siya ng quotation followed by the year. However, if the author is or the author of the work is overtly designated as anonymous, talagang nakalagay doon, anonymous. Okay, it's overtly designated. Meron nakalagay talaga na word anonymous. So the word anonymous, okay, takes place the name of the author in the in-text citation. So anong gagawin natin kapag yan ay in-text citation? You just place the word anonymous, comma, then 2017. There are also rules in omitting the year in repeated narrative citations. So in general, include the author and the date in every in-text citation. Okay, but if you need to repeat a citation, or if you need to repeat a citation, repeat the in-text citation. Okay, but the year, no, the year can be committed from a citation only when multiple narrative citations to a work appear in a single paragraph. Okay, so tignan natin yung example dito. Na-mention si Kohler 2016 sa first line. Okay, so we place the name of the author and the year published. Na-mention ulit si Kohler on the second line. So no need to place the year. You could omit already here the year. Okay, and on the last, okay, on the last line, no, naka-mention ulit si color and the year. Okay, take note, always include in the parenthetical citations. Okay, or the year rather is always included in the parenthetical citation. Ang hindi lang natin i-include sa sa in-text, no, pwede tayong mag-omit ng year sa in-text citation, but in a parenthetical citation, hindi po tayo pwedeng mag-omit ng year. Okay, so to simplify the things with regards to parenthetical and your narrative citation, I would like to share with you this simplified form or simplified presentation based from the author type. So kapag isa lang ang author, no, ganito po yung presentation natin for parenthetical, Luna, then comma, then the year, and close inside the parenthesis. For a narrative citation, Luna, open close parenthesis, the year. For two or more authors, okay, still, naka-enclose sa loob ng parenthesis yung pangalan ng dalawang author, followed by comma, and the year. For your narrative citations, we do not use ampersand. No? Ang tawag po natin dito sa symbol is your ampersand. But for your narrative citation, we spell out the symbol na N. Okay, so we spell out in words. Okay. For three or more authors, gumagamit na po tayo dito ng et al. Okay, so meaning and others. Take note of the proper way of using et al. Et space and al, then period. Okay, period, comma yan. Okay, period, comma, kapag parenthetical citation kasi may kasunod siya na year. However, if you are using a narrative citation, et al, then period lamang. Okay? So just like this one, period lamang po. Okay? So followed by the year. Okay? So how about if you're citing a group author with abbreviation or with accepted abbreviation? Take note, hindi lahat ng mga group ng mga organizations or group ay pwede nating i-abbreviate. Okay? So if we are not sure of the abbreviation, then better to spell out the complete name of the organization. But if we are sure na yun nga talaga ang tamang abbreviation niya, then we could abbreviate it. Okay? So like for example, for the first citation, we spell out, no? We kompleto yung pangalan ng organization. Example, National Institute of Mental Health. Okay? And then, meron tayong bracket, the abbreviated format, close bracket, followed by the year. So, for your narrative citation, ganun din, no? The entire name or the exact name of the organization is spelled out. And inside the what do you call that? Inside the parentheses, andun na po yung abbreviated form. Okay, so for your subsequent rather citations, pwede na po natin gamitin yung abbreviated format niya. Okay, so take note for your subsequent. But kapag first citation, we spell out. For example, World Health Organization, WHO. On our subsequent paragraph or writings, if we still use the WHO, or World Health Organization rather, ang gamitin na lang natin is the WHO. How about if a group author without abbreviation, no? Kapag wala talagang abbreviated term yan, like for example, for the Stanford University, you just spell out, okay? We just spell out, okay, to avoid errors. As mentioned a while ago, sinabi ko nga kanina that scientific sources can be classified into two. We have your primary and your secondary. So what's the format, no, of citing a secondary source? So cite secondary source sparingly. Okay, so sparingly, ibig sabihin, as much as possible, we should always look to the primary source, no? Yung primary source ng mga information of our data. Okay? However, if the original work is out of print already, no, hindi mo na mahanap, nasunog na, unavailable, okay, or the availability only in a language that you do not understand, no? Kasi may mga articles na hindi nakasulat sa English, nakasulat sa kanilang mga respective language, and you do not have and the original paper rather is written in a foreign language. Okay? Tapos yung available sa iyo na secondary source is written in English, but you could not access or you didn't have any translation. Okay? So pwede natin gamitin ang secondary citation. Okay? But again, as much as possible, we should cite secondary sources sparingly. The reason behind is baka may mga details or ideas or information that were not captured by your secondary source. So when citing a secondary source, provide a reference entry list for the secondary source that you use. So in your in-text citation, identify the primary source and then you write the word as cited in. Take note, as cited in at hindi as cited by. It should be as cited in and then the secondary source that we use. Okay, so if the year of publication of the primary source is unknown, also include it in the text. Okay, so we have here an example. The available article that you were able to retrieve or were able to download is the article of Lyon et al. In 2014, which Rabbit 1982 was cited. Okay, so ibig sabihin si Lyon et al. 2014, meron siyang nakuha na idea or information from Rabbit 1982. Okay? However, you were unable to read Rabbit's original work. So, anong gagawin natin dito is your in-text citation. So, in your in-text citation, you cite the Rabbit's work as the original source, followed by Lyons et al.'s work as your secondary source. So, only Lyons et al. Work appears in the reference list. Why Lion et al? Kasi si Lion et al lang yung nakita mo talaga, yung source. Yung meron kang na-retrieve, meron kang na-download. Pero yung source niya na si Rabbit 1982, hindi mo na mahanap. Okay, you didn't have an access with Rabbit's article or Rabbit's book, okay, kung libro man yan. So in your in-text citation, pwede mong gamitin ang ganitong format. So in the study of Rabbit 1982, as cited in, okay, take note of the word, as cited in Lion et al. 2014, dot, etc. So that they're followed by the information. So we could place, you could do your secondary citation using an in-text citation format. Pwede rin through parenthetical format. Okay, so in the second example, this is your parenthetical format. Rabbit 1982 as cited in Lion et al. 2014. Okay, so in our reference list, okay, since hindi mo naman talaga mahanap ang primary source, ang ilalagay mo sa inyong reference list is your secondary source. Okay, so this is my example of my secondary source in one of my academic requirement. So let me just read this one. The affective domain is one of the three types of learning defined in Bloom's taxonomy. These are arranged from simple to complex levels: receiving phenomenon, responding to the phenomenon, valuing, organizing, internalizing values. However, out of the three domains, cognitive, affective, and psychomotor, the affective domain received the less attention in nursing and medical education. Okay, and then I have here 10K, De Hayes, Asadian, SERC, as cited in Pagat Patan et al. 2014. Okay, so yung original source dito, we have 10NK, De Hayes, Asadian, and your SERC. Pero yung na-retrieve ko na article is only the study of Pagat Patan et al. 2020. Okay, so in my reference list, I will enter the article of Pagat-Patan et al. 2020. But in my in-text or my parenthetical citation, I mentioned the original sources followed by my secondary source. This is also our format in presenting quotations. We use quotations when citing the exact statement, the sentence, or the phrase of our reference. And in using quotation, we enclose the statement or the exact phrase that we want to cite, followed by the author's name, the year published, and of course the page number separated by a comma. Okay, so here in the example, the affective pedagogy is defined, no? The affective pedagogy is defined by Ondrejka, 2014, page 5. Okay, so the definition itself, hindi ko yan pinaraphrase, no? I copied the exact sentence or they copied the exact definition of the definition or the meaning of affective pedagogy, and of course followed by a parenthetical citation coming from its main source or the direct source. Another example below, no? Um, there are 5 reasons why servant leadership can be foundation for personal and organizational excellence: contextual, anecdotal, empirical, philosophical, and cross-cultural. So as you can see, the word, no, or sorry, the sentence is enclosed, no, with a quotation mark followed by the parenthetical citation coming or parenthetical citation of the author. Okay, so take note that we use only direct or we use in your direct quotation, merong applicable to sa mga short quotations as well as for long quotations. No? For short quotations, usually dapat ay less than 40 words lang yan. And in using in short quotations, we enclose it with a quotation mark. Okay? So aside from the number of words, take note also of the symbol use. Okay? So we use a single P, only P, for a single page and double P for your multiple pages. So ibig sabihin po nito, kapag for example, dito sa first example, dito sa ating first example from Ondrejka 2014, page number 5. So this means that the definition or the phrase, no, the definition of affective pedagogy can be found dito sa page 5 ng article na to or sa libro po na ito. Okay, so another example here. page number 3 naman. So, ibig sabihin natin, yung na-enclose na quotation mark dito or yung sources nito ay galing sa page 5 article of Sanjaya. Okay? So, that's the basic rules with regards to direct quotation, particularly sa ating short quotation. Next is block quotation. So this is applicable for quoting a more than 40 words. If more than 40 words, you treat it as a block quotation. So meaning, do not use a quotation mark in enclosing the entire statement. Instead, we indent the quotation or we indent the block quotation on a new line from the left margin. Ensure that you observe double space and do not add extra space before and after the quote. Lastly, do not add period after the closing parenthesis. This is an example of a block quotation with parenthetical and narrative citation. So as you can see, the exact statement was indented and there's no period, no? Andito po yung indent. Okay, so these two examples, uh, the exact statement was indented and as you can see, there's no period at the end of each parenthetical citation. So ganito yung ating example of using a block quotation. Okay, so take note that you need to indent, okay, the entire statement, okay, of your reference. The next one is personal communications. Usually, personal communications are used when you want to cite your personal interview or your personal communication from persons or individuals who are known experts in the field or in experts in the discipline. That's to make sure that your presentation or your write-up is reliable. We use personal communications in both narrative and in-text citation following the prescribed format. In parenthetical citation, no, we enclose your citation or we enclose the information within or inside the parenthesis, okay, starting from the initial of the person whom you interviewed, okay, and the surname, okay, followed by a comma, and we spell out the word personal communication, again followed by a comma, followed by the exact date, the month, the date, and the year of your personal communication or the year of your interview. How about for your narrative citation? Okay, we follow the usual format in making or inserting your in-text citation. Okay, we only enclose the word personal communication and a comma, followed by the date, month, and the day, the month, the date, and the year you conducted the interview. Okay, pero kung mapapansin natin, nasa labas ng parenthesis, no, yung initials and the surname of the person whom you interview. Okay? So take note that your personal communications are not entered in your reference list unless your instructor or unless your instructors, no, would require you to do so. Okay? But following the prescribed APA format, no, the APA 7, hindi po natin nilalagay sa reference list ang ating mga personal communication. We only enter them in our in-text or in the narrative, no, in the text. Okay? This is now our last topic, making or creating your reference list. Here are the basic rules in creating our reference list. You should always remember that all references in the list must be double spaced, both between references and within references, with a hanging indent of 0.5 inches or half inch for references with more than one line. Okay, we follow also the APA 7 edition referencing depending on the type of your reference when you use your books or your ebooks, your research articles, okay, news articles, magazines, or any other relevant resources. And we present also your list in an alphabetical order. So here's the prescribed format or prescribed presentation of making a reference list using a journal article. Okay, so kapag ang source natin sa ating mga thesis or research ay galing sa mga research articles, ito yung ilalagay natin sa ating reference list. Okay, so we should enter the author's last name, followed by their initial, the year of publication, the complete title of the research article or the article title, the name of the journal article kung saan natin nakuha yun, okay, the volume, the issue, and of course the page numbers. Okay, so page numbers refers not to the complete page of the journal article. Instead, this is referring to the page of that research article or the article title, followed by our digital object identifier or your DOI. Okay? So, looking closely, kung mapapansin po natin, kapag dalawa yung author, no? Kapag dalawa po yung author ng ating article, we present both the name of the authors. Okay, so paano nga ba yung presentation? Of course, the presentation would be based on how the article presents its author. Okay, kung sino yung kanyang primary author, yung kanyang co-author, or the second author. Okay, so kapag dalawa sila, we use the ampersand or the symbol and. Okay, and that's to separate no, yung sino yung first author and of course the second author. Papansin po din natin, we are using comma after the author's last name. Okay, and a period and a comma, okay, kapag meron pang kasunod yan. Okay? So, either a period kung wala nang kasunod, pero kapag may kasunod pa na merong susunod na author, then a period and a comma. Okay? So, after presenting the last author, the year of publication is enclosed inside the parenthesis, of course, followed by another period. The complete title of the article, followed by another period. The journal article. Okay, kung mapapansin po natin yung font ng journal article as well as the issue, no? The issue number ay naka-italics. Okay? So lahat ng 'yan ay lahat ng yung mga sinabi ko, no? The journal article as well as the volume number ay naka-italics. Okay? Yan lamang po yung dapat na naka-italics. Okay? Followed by, of course, your page numbers separated by a hyphen and our digital object identifier or the DOI. Kung wala po tayong mahanap na digital object identifier, then no need to enter the DOI. But of course, if your reference, you were able to get, no, to retrieve this reference, yung mga journal articles na to from the internet, kay meron at meron po silang mga digital object identifier. For an article that has 21 authors or more, we list the first 19 authors, no? Kailangan po natin i-list ang first 19 authors. Then we insert an ellipsis. After the first 19 authors, i-insert na po natin yung ellipsis. So yung naka-ellipsis yan is the author number 20 and the author number 21 or more, okay? And of course, then after inserting the ellipsis, we need also to insert the last name and of course the first initials of the last author. Okay, so there are instances kasi na talagang maraming mga authors ang mga research articles, most especially for scientific studies or for experimental studies. Okay, yung isang speaker nga na inatendaran ko, no, sa mga research forum, meron siyang nakita na ang isang article, kanyang author ay mga 100 scientists, okay, who conducted a form of an experimental study. Okay, so below we have here the example of an APA format presenting more than 21 authors. Okay, so mapapansin natin they follow almost the same presentation, no? Here's the surname followed by comma, then the initials, then period and a comma, followed by the second author, the third, okay, the fourth, okay, diretso po yan. Okay? They also insert, after mentioning yung first 19 authors, yung pang 20, yung pang 21, okay, yan na po yung naka-insert sa ellipsis. And of course, Brown Z, that's the last author, okay, followed by the year published, the title of the article, the title of the journal, the volume, the issue number, page number, and the last, we have the digital object identifier. So here's a print screen of one of the articles that I used in one of my previous requirement. So as you can see, dito na yung mga different or the important informations that we need to enter in our reference list. Okay, so we have here the name. Okay, the name of the journal article, the year published, the volume, the issue number, and of course, the page number. Andito na rin po yung ating digital object identifier. So, kompleto na lahat po yan. No? Kapag mga research articles, it can be download, access, or download online, kompleto na po lahat ng information. What we need to know is to look into those details so that we could enter it in our reference list. Okay, if you are not sure kung yun nga ba ang pangalan or the exact title of the journal article, we could also scan the entire page, no? Kung wala sa taas, siguro nasa last portion or the last page of the article. Okay, andito na rin po yung ating complete title of the article followed by the author. Okay, kung paano po nila present yung authors, ganyan din po natin isulat sa ating reference entries. Okay, so the first author we have Pagatatan, followed by Valdezco and Lauron. So ganito na po kapag tayo ay gagawa ng ating reference list. Okay, the primary author and of course the co-authors. Tapos gumamit po tayo ng ampersand, okay, before the last author. The year published, the name, okay, or the complete title of the article, followed by the name of the journal article, or the journal rather, naka-italics siya. Tapos yung volume, naka-italics din. But the issue number ay hindi po naka-italics. Okay? Followed by your page numbers. And the last, we have your digital object identifier. For books or ebooks, we follow this format. We present first the author's last name, the first name, and of course their initials or their middle initial rather, followed by the year of publication, the title in italics, and the publisher's name. No? Unlike before, in the APA 6, we also present the place of publication. Pero sa APA 7, no, kapag libro po yung gamit natin or ebooks, ganito na po yung kanyang format. For books that have an update in terms of their edition, pang 7, pang 8, or so on and so forth, we usually enter the edition of the book after the title of the book. Okay, but of course, only the title of the book, yan lang po yung naka-italics. Okay, so for books with 2 or more authors, same format will be applied. Okay, that we need first to present the primary author of the book, the surname of the primary author, followed by initial, and then an ampersand, yung pangalawang author, the year published, the title of the book, okay? And of course, yung pangalan na po nito ng publisher po ng ating libro. In making a reference list using a book, we need to scan the entire book, or we need to scan the primary preliminaries or the first few pages of the book. Okay, so usually nandun naman sa front page pa lang kasi no, andun na yung mga important informations. Okay, so like for example, the title of the book and of course the author. Okay, sa second page po natin andun na rin yung mga pangalan ng publisher, okay, and the year publish. Okay, as you can see here, andito na po yung copyright. Copyright, ito po yung year kung kailan na-publish, followed by the publishing company. If you are not sure if that's the name of the publishing company, makikita din po natin sa mga other sections of the book kung anong publisher po yun. And of course, the place of publication. Okay? So, kaya kapag gumawa na po tayo ng ating mga reference entries, kumpleto na po lahat ang mga information na yan. If one of your references came from newspapers or magazines, we follow this prescribed format. First, we need to enter the author's last name and of course, their initial, the publication date. Pero kung mapapansin po natin, yung publication date, kompleto po yan. It's not only the year published, but of course, the date and the month. Okay? So after entering the publication date, we enter also the article title and the name of the newspaper. Okay, yun lamang po yung information that needs to be entered in our reference entries or in the reference list. How about if that newspaper or that magazine was retrieved from a website with no author? Okay, so ang ilalagay po natin kapag walang author, we enter in our reference list the title of the article or the title of the news article or the magazine, the article inside that magazine. Okay, kung masyadong mahaba, we shorten it. We just need to shorten the title of the news article, followed by the publication date. And the last is the title or the name of the newspaper at saka yung ating website. This is how to present your reference entries if your resources or sources came from a website. We need to enter the author's name. Okay, mapapansin po natin yung author's name, kompleto din po yan. At hindi na lang siya purely na initials. Of course, the date kung kailan na-post yung information na yon, okay, or the article na po na yon. Followed by the title of the article or the title of the information that has been posted online, the name of the website, and of course, the URL. Okay, so you need to copy and paste the entire URL in your reference entries. So here's the format in presenting reference entries from a thesis or dissertation. Okay, kapag electronically retrieve po ang mga books po na yun or yung mga resources po natin. Okay, so we enter the author's last name followed by the initial, the year the book or the thesis or the dissertation was completed, the complete title of the thesis or the dissertation, the publication number, and then we need to specify if that is a doctoral thesis or that's a master's thesis or an undergraduate thesis, followed by the complete name of the university, and of course, kung saan po natin nakuha, okay, kung anong database po natin naka-access yung thesis or yung dissertation na yun. Like for example, kung yan ba ay ProQuest or any form of your database. For your electronic copy of a thesis or dissertation from an online archive or a repository naman, this is our prescribed APA7 format. So we need to present the author's surname or last name, yung kanyang initial, the year the book or the year the research was completed, the complete title of the article or the complete title of thesis or dissertation, and of course, needed to identify if that's a master's thesis, doctoral thesis, or undergraduate thesis, the name of the institution or the name of the college or university, at yung ating website or yung ating URL. I know that creating a reference list or entries in our references is quite exhausting and they are very technical. No? Iba-iba ang format depending on our source. Journal article, iba. News article, iba. Magazine, ibang format ulit. Galing sa website, iba ulit. Okay? Or kung libro man yan, or a thesis, iba ulit yung format. Okay? That's why with the power of technology, I have here some few online resources or online sites that we could use in creating our reference list. These are your automatic reference list generators. Okay? Ang gagawin lang po natin is we just need to enter the informations that these sites that I am providing you needs. No? Kailangan nila usually is the title of the article or the digital object identifier. As long as your references you were able to retrieve came from online, madaling hanapin po ng mga online list or online reference list generators po natin ng mga yon. Okay, so we have the Google Scholar, we also have the OWL, Purdue.edu, Scriber.com, Citefast.com, and the BeadMe.org. Okay, yung mga ginagamit ko dito are the following, no? Google Scholar, but the problem in Google Scholar, hindi pa sila nag-update, no? The format that they are using is still the APA 6. Okay, so if you want to use the Google Scholar, kailangan mo lang baguhin ng konti, no? In your reference list. The owl.purdue.edu, no, libre po ang mga site na to. The scriber.com. Yung ginagamit ko din is your SitePass. And of course, the one of the most famous, the bidme.org. Okay, so this is a short recording. Okay, so this is a short recording on how to use citation generators or your electronic and of course automatic citation generators. Okay, so let me just share my screen. I'll be sharing my entire screen. Okay, so I think I'm now sharing my screen. So suppose that I am interested with this article entitled "In Pregnancy Patients, Do Birthing Classes Decrease the Rate of Cesarean Delivery?" Okay, so nakita na po natin, andito na yung ating pangalan ng mga authors, the author's information. We could just want to access the author's information. Ito na rin yung pangalan ng article, or sorry, pangalan ng research, ng journal article, the volume, the page, the issue, pages, TUI, kompleto na lahat, no? If you want to do the manual, pwede din. If you want to do the electronic, want to create your reference list electronically, pwede din. Okay, so sa mga sites na to, pwede rin natin yung access if you want to click here the site, no? Andito na, kompleto na, no? But we need of course to review kapag tama ba ang presentation nito. So, huge, base, Anne, Damon, Erica, etc. Okay? So, mapapansin natin kompleto naman lahat dito, pero hindi lang siya naka-APA, hindi lang siya naka-APA 7 kasi hindi naka-italics yung ating journal article. Okay? But if you want also to use your citation generators, just go to www.citefast.com at ganito po yung kanyang interface. Okay? So, you just need to copy the title of the article. Tapos, you need to set the interface of CiteFast kung APA 7, 6, or MLA kasi marami pang other citation way, different formats of citing a reference. And then, we need to select if it is a web page, book, or a journal. Okay, so ang article na to is a journal published in the evidence-based practice. And then, we need to select journal. Then we need to enter either the article title, the name of the author, or the keywords. Since nakuha na natin yung title kanina, you just need to copy and paste the complete title and then click search. And after a few seconds, andito na, nag-appear na site na retrieve na ni citefast.com. And then we just need to select what article. Oops. Okay, so what article? Karoon lang ng kaunting problem. Anyway. Okay, so what we're going to do is we need to paste, no? The title of the article, then search. Tapos tignan natin kung alin nga ba dito yung gusto nating gawa ng reference list. So ito po yung gusto nating gawa ng reference list. In pregnancy patients, do birthing classes decrease the rate of cesarean delivery by huge base and group. So we just need to select this one. Tignan natin kung tama nga ba yung naka-enter dito ng information. Actually sa baba andito na, no, yung for information. Then we just need to click save. So ayan. So kompleto na po, no? Andyan na po yung ating reference entry in the study of huge base, Bradford and Hayes with the title and In pregnant patients, do birthing classes decrease the rate of cesarean delivery? Andito na yung kanyang name of the journal article in italics. Of course, the volume, the issue number, the page number, and the digital object identifier. Okay, we just need to copy and paste it in our Word document. Okay, or kung ano bang gusto natin. If you want to export it in a Word, pwede rin. So that's how fast, no? Ganyan po kabilis yung paggamit mo natin ng mga cite fast or the other citation generators. So thank you.
Adding a hanging indent to a references page in Word, a tutorial in 1 minute. A hanging indent formats your references so only the first line of text aligns with the left margin. The following lines of each reference are indented. The reference page on the left is incorrect, whereas the page on the right uses the hanging indent and is how your finished page should look in APA format. To add a hanging indent, navigate to your references page. Highlight the full text, right-click your mouse, and select Paragraph. On the Indentation Special menu, click the drop-down to select Hanging. This will automatically fill in 0.5 inches. Click OK. This is the proper formatting for a reference page in APA. You can also do this by navigating to Paragraph and expanding the window. Questions? Need help? Just ask us. We're here to help.
I know that your journey in making your research or your thesis is not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. Before I end, may I take this chance to promote the upcoming extension activity of our institution. We'll be having the phase 2 of the project IPAN. Our target school beneficiary is one of the heavily devastated public school during the Typhoon Mari. And it's the Tinaan Elementary School in Tinaan, Santa Maria, Ilocos Sur. Once again, we are asking your help and generosity for this project. Here are my references. Thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.